everyone. My name is Chelsea Robson, and you are watching the Rotoscopers YouTube. Now, I did a review on Coco just a couple weeks ago, and I got a lot of people coming in and saying, oh my gosh, please do a review of Olaf's Frozen Adventure. I told you that I would, so I'm here today. Let's do this. All right, so now, first off, let's talk about how I'll recap the fact that why I didn't do one prior. The reason I didn't do one prior is because Disney, when they put out their screenings for all of the press, they did not include this film. Now I say film because it's like a short film, but it's a film. Like it's a long 20-minute short. And that was the problem that most people had. Now when this movie first came out in Mexico, it got a lot of backlash. A lot. And the fact is, it was only supposed to, they took it off after 2 weeks. After the first 2 weeks, they got so much backlash that they decided to take off the entire short from the film. And then they just said, oh, you know, it was just a 2-week engagement anyway. And they're like, yeah, that's not a thing. Normally when you go to see a movie, it's always a package deal. They always, even months later, if you were to go to like the Dollar Theater, it almost always has the short that came along with it at the beginning. And so for me coming in to only see the full movie Coco and not the film, short film, Olaf's Frozen Adventure prior should have been a kickoff, should have told me what was going on. But we didn't get a lot of that information. Honestly, I wasn't looking for a lot of that information as far as like how each country kind of received this film. I was just excited for it to come out where I was. And so when I finally saw this, I had to come back 2 weeks later when the film actually came out to theaters to actually watch the full thing. And by this time, I had already reviewed the movie Coco, and all of these people are like, yes, it's amazing, fabulous, wonderful. That review itself has thousands of views. And so lots of over 100 comments, and people are like, yes, that movie is grand. You were so lucky not to have watched Olaf's Frozen Adventure. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. The Rotoscopers, we got our start from doing Frozen stuff. Like, that was how we became known. That is how probably most of you found us in the first place, is because when Frozen came out, we were all in. And so at this point in time, I was really bummed because I was like, no, not my Frozen. Well, I'll tell you exactly how I felt. And in a summary, I'm going to say I didn't hate it. Now, if you want to get a full review, we actually did an entire review, both Morgan and I, on our podcast. You can go to rotoscopers.com/161 to be able to get the full review of that. But Morgan, I'll give you she hated it. Like, spoiler alert, she hated it. I feel like everybody was like very polarized. They either loved it or they just didn't like it at all. And I was really very much in the middle. I thought, you know what? Here's the things that I did like. I liked Idina Menzel, because, I mean, what's not to like? And then I also liked the animation. I felt like some people say the animation wasn't the same, but I was like, actually, no, this looks quite the same to me. I feel like it's great. And I enjoyed listening to the songs in the moment, but I wasn't really the biggest, oh, thanks. Somebody says Frozen became popular because of our YouTube channel. Appreciate you. Thank you. I felt like the songs themselves were fine in the moment, but nothing that I'm able to sing you right now. Yeah. I really wanted to be able to like this movie wholeheartedly, but unfortunately, I was kind of middle of the road. I didn't hate it. I felt like it was fine. It was kind of like, yeah, cool. Now, there were some things that I didn't like about it. First off, I didn't like the fact that I felt like the characters themselves were kind of just rehashed, and it was kind of like they just stuck in their same frame of mind. There was no progression. And for this to have come out in theaters, I feel like it should have had some type of progression of a story or motivations in general. And so if you, once again, I go into a lot of depth with this podcast it's the Rotoscopers podcast, the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers, I should say, rotoscopers.com/161. And we ended up talking like 20 minutes. As long as this short was long, we talked about it and gave all of our thoughts. So anyway, I've had lots of good experiences with Frozen in general, but this one really didn't push anything for me. And the thing that bothered me the most, now if you haven't seen it, I mean, I really don't think you're really caring right now, but then turn it off. But the thing that bothered me the most is really there was no progression. For example, with Olaf, he really had I had no build up for him. There was one point in time in the film where he's like, oh, I did all of this work and now I'm useless. I should probably just stay lost. And it was like, what? There was no buildup for that. Like, it just came out of nowhere. Like, he started coming in and just kind of talking and being like, oh, let's go look up what everybody likes to do. But there was just no buildup of, like, him having any angst about his place in the kingdom. And for that to just kind of happen, it was just weird. It could have been set up a whole lot better. Anyway, I'm just going to leave it at that as my thoughts. And I want to leave it up. Okay, now I'm opening up right now for chat. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and post those right now. I'll try and, I've been focusing on my review this whole time, so now I'm opening up to you guys to be able to put in your thoughts, and then we'll kind of chat back and forth. So if that is all you need, then go ahead, like, join us for next time. But I'll be on just for a couple seconds more. So I feel like Frozen to me is like, I'm home, and then to do this, it's like, they shouldn't make Frozen 2, but they are. Well, and that's the other thing, is Disney really has to be very careful with this, because they are, I mean, this is their big thing, their big cash cow right now, and they're just really trying to milk it for all it's worth. Somebody asked that, were there too many songs? I feel like it's not the fact that it had too many songs, it was, I mean, the songs just weren't as meaningful. There was no reason for the songs. Like, generally when you put in all these songs, it's because you have so much emotion that you cannot put it in with just talking. You have to sing. Somebody says, Chris says that you feel like it was mostly filler. Yeah, I mean, I can see that for sure. I definitely can see that. And somebody asked me earlier if I liked Tangled. Of course I liked Tangled. Who doesn't like Tangled? Tangled was, oh, you're probably thinking, like, I'm going on and on about Frozen. Like, I don't normally compare them, but I always see them as equally awesome, because they are. And that's one thing that I'm kind of worried about with Frozen 2. Like, up until this Frozen short, I was cautiously excited about Frozen 2, because I felt like they had something going as far as a story. Like, they could really build on this. Yeah, that's really where I'm at with this. I wanted it to be grand, great, grand, wonderful. I did. Tangled was better in a lot of ways, he says. Yeah, I mean, I think they both have a lot of their own qualities that kind of created their own things. Honestly, okay, you guys know that fan theory about, like, oh, they're actually not cousins, they're actually sisters. What? I actually really want that to be true, because I feel like it would be so great. Well, no, because you have some theories saying that they're cousins, and one of them, there was a theory out there that says that they are actually sisters separated at birth. And so I think that would actually be fantastic to have a mesh up like that. But I really don't feel like they're going to do that. I feel like they're going to try and continue on a convoluted script that just makes things just not working. Matthew wants the cousin things to happen. Yeah, like those types of interactions between the two would be fantastic. But I just don't see that as, I just don't feel like they're going to go that way, which makes me sad. I feel like if they were going to go that way, then you would be hearing a lot more about other directors being involved in the creation process. But then again, that would really spoil things. So I guess that's cool. Whatever. The short gets way too much hate for it. And it belongs before Coco without them knowing prior. Yeah. So you said there doesn't seem to be a Princess Avengers sometime soon. Oh, well, I am very excited about Wreck-It Ralph too because of the whole everybody's coming together like the princesses. D23 really made me excited about that. I was like, oh my gosh, awesome. Well, okay, somebody says the only fan theory that he doesn't want to have true is the Elsa being related to Tarzan. Honestly, the Chris Buck, the director of Frozen, was also one of the directors of Tarzan, and he was the one that put that theory out there. So it's like, I kind of take it as canon now. That's just me. Anyway, all right, guys, it has been about 11 minutes or so, but keep the comments going. I'll be back in the comments for a while, just kind of going back and forth. If you have any questions, if you ever want to like check out my own stuff, I plan on doing my own live streams on my own channel, chelsearobson.com with singing. If you happen to see the Coco short and liked it, or the Coco review and liked my singing, I'm going to be doing a couple more things on there. But anyway, all right, love you. We'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Until next time, I'm Chelsea Robson, and you are watching the Rotoscopers YouTube.